Hello, Empowered Woman. Welcome to this episode of the Empowered Woman podcast. Today, I'll be talking about the two things that are keeping you stuck in your life and business. Really, the two main reasons why entrepreneurs struggle so much with their mindset, attitude, and lack of confidence. Understanding these two things will help you identify and overcome self-limiting beliefs, fears, and hesitations to move forward. So whether you've been struggling more because of the pandemic or just struggling in general, this one will hit home. Let's get to it. Welcome back to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on personal development for women entrepreneurs. If you're wanting to stop spinning your wheels, trying random personal development resources, and actually boost your confidence to show up fearlessly in your life and business, this is the place for you. I am so glad that you're here. My name is martaspirk, and I'm your host, triplet mom, woman empowerment coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. Welcome again. Let's dive into today's episode. Have you ever found yourself saying, I've tried everything, but nothing has really worked, or I don't know what to do next? Especially when it comes to your business. I mean, I'm sure we've gone through these in different times in life as a mom, as a wife, and all the things. But thinking about your business, I've tried this technique, I've tried email marketing, I've tried XYZ, I'm buying this next course. And then you hit those moments where, wow, nothing really has worked. And I've coached so many women that have said that, but I've also been that entrepreneur. And there was a time even when one of my mentors said they didn't know what else to suggest. And so they said, I guess you need to work on your money mindset. Here, read this book. And the book was super helpful. But what I have noticed with time, with, coaching women, coaching myself, is that what really makes a difference is understanding that it's not the strategy and tools that are lacking ever. It's really your attitude. Because if you change your attitude, the situation really does change. And I will go back to my examples of watching these survivor shows. I have been loving watching Man vs. Wild, and we recently picked up Alone. I think it's on the History Channel. Brilliant. It's just so amazing to see the human being in very primitive conditions and how resourceful we are. And we lose sight of that in living in such a privileged position with technology. That's why I love watching those shows, because it really shows how your mindset is important for survival, and we forget that in our day-to-day. And it takes me back to understanding how my attitude really influences the outcomes of everything in my life. My relationship with my kids, my marriage, my business, everything is so interconnected. So if you have found yourself telling yourself, nothing works, even with kids, I scream, I'm nice, I try to distract, nothing works. And the more you tell yourself nothing works and nothing has worked, the more you're going to be believing that nothing will ever work. And that's not to say you're not going to try new stuff. You are. But with the attitude of, this probably won't work, but I will try it anyways. What are your chances of success if that's how you're getting into it? You're going to buy that next program. You're going to sign up with that next coach. You're going to read that next book. You may get a little encouraged right away, and then it'll fizzle off, just like all the other things have. And the problem is not on the strategy or that you need to try that next thing. The problem really is adjusting your attitude. And that's not to say that it's hopeless, right? You just need to figure out what and how you're stopping yourself. Because if you can't really change the situation, then you have to change the way you see the situation. And how do you do that? You have to ask yourself more questions than trying to find the answer in the next program or in the next person that is going to help you, right? And that's why I wanted to share with you today these two things that I have found in my journey and with coaching my clients that has really helped me figuring out what's stopping me, which really boils down to your mindset, but being more specific than just saying mindset, because that's the problem with personal development. It can be so intangible and hard to pinpoint that we just give up. And that ends up being really the tendency with human beings, is that we feel overwhelmed, not because of all the things that we need to do. It's that we don't know where to start. So it's just easy to throw our hands in the air and say, well, don't know what to do. So I'll just sit here and cry, right? Because that's what kids do. But you are not a kid anymore. So you have what it takes to troubleshoot and problem solve and figure it out for yourself. But I'm going to help you out here with these two things to help you get your wheels turning and really start analyzing your own behavior, because that's where the magic happens, when you change your attitude. Okay. And so the other day I was talking to someone about my business, and as I was explaining how I help women entrepreneurs really become emotionally fit and mentally strong to grow their business, and really going back to the analogy of living in the wild, that's really what you have to be to survive, is really be mentally strong, have that mental endurance and that emotional endurance to handle it, because otherwise you're not going to get up and you're not going to do anything. So as I was sharing a little bit more about my business, they said, oh my goodness, I'm sure your business has been absolutely thriving during this pandemic. Lots of roller coasters for business owners. And before she said that, I actually had not thought of it, honestly. I hadn't really looked at it. Wow, business is booming because of the pandemic, because regardless of the pandemic, entrepreneurs struggle with their mindset, with their attitude, and lack of confidence all of the time. And it really comes with the territory. But once she pointed that out, I really wanted to focus this episode into first asking you, how has your business been the past few months? Have you struggled extra? I would love to know. Because for some people, it has actually been a lot better with everything reverting, to online and working from home. But for the ones that have kids at home, it's been a little bit more challenging. For me, it's been challenging, but in another way, it really has been good, because I have been a lot more focused and intentional with my time because I have less time. So I wanted to ask you that, and I would love to hear your answers, how things have been going for you. But I also wanted to share what I have seen that has helped me remain motivated and consistent through rough times, whether it be a global crisis or just in general. And I'm sure you've heard how important it is for you to overcome limiting beliefs, fears, hesitations. But why do some people, and let's be honest, most of us, keep using the same excuses that keep us stuck? Why do we keep holding ourselves back? Even when we want something so badly, it's like the more I want it, the less I have it. And it really goes back to the attitude problem. We have an attitude problem, but let's get more specific. So what I've learned is that what keeps us stuck really boils down to two things. And this first one, I just keep going back to what one of my first business coaching mentors and business coaches said, is that he actually made us make a vow before we started the program to say, I am coachable. I will be coachable. And I was like, this is great, but I really am coachable. I want to learn. That's why I paid for this program. And it was an expensive program too. But as time has gone on, I have really understood that is the first thing. And we really take it for granted, and we don't really look into as much detail as we should, maybe take it as at face value, that most times in our lives, why we get stuck is because we're not willing to be taught. We're not willing to be helped. We're not willing to be coached because we think we already know what we need to do. So you see the relationship and the connection here between saying nothing has worked for me, and then when somebody comes and gives you a suggestion, you say, that's not going to work either. That's the epitome of not being coachable. And what does this mean? It really means you don't want to accept that the world, the economy, potential clients, that none of these factors are your problem. You're just unwilling to turn the light on your own crap and start doing a real good cleanup job. It's really hard to clean a room if the lights are off, is it not? You can, try and get it better than it was, but you're not going to do a very thorough job. And then you wonder why the room is still dirty. You're still stuck because, taking advice, taking feedback is hard. And I will say, I love the Enneagram. This comes harder or easier for some types than others. But at the end of the day, it really is a struggle for all humans. We want to get stuff right the first time because why not? But the chances of that happening are very, very slim because we're all beginners one day, right? There is always going to be a day one for everything in our lives. And it's sometimes hard to accept that because we wish we were on day 100. And it just doesn't work that way. And again, I will say, I think the life that we live now with technology and with the speed of things has really contributed to that. I believe, back in the day when you had to wait for the next season to roll around so that you could harvest, you had to learn patience a lot more than we do now. I mean, we don't have to wait for the next harvest. We just go to the grocery store. So all these things come into play. But that's not to say that it's out of our hands, because it's not. And that's why I'm sharing this with you, to get you thinking. Are you really taking advice? Are you really taking hints on the things that you can start changing and paying attention to? Or are you just saying, bah, I've tried that before and it didn't work? Did you really try? How long did you try it for? And what was your attitude while you were doing it? Were you kicking and huffing and puffing while you were doing it? Like when you ask a kid to go clean their room or do something and they're just huffing and puffing. I remember doing that with my mom and she would tell me to stop. That's not how you handle things if you're really passionate about growing your business, right? So that's the first one. Really check in with yourself. Are you being coachable? How does it feel when somebody tells you, no, try this other thing? That didn't sound right. I got to tell you, that's still hard for me. And again, because of being a 3, I don't usually take criticism very well because I like to think I do things perfect the first time. And of course I don't. And leave it to the ones to keep me straight and let me know I did not do it right the first time or the second or the third or the fourth. But that's how we learn, right? So are you being coachable? And now, number 2, we don't know how to get to the bottom of our limiting beliefs. Because once you accept that you need to do the inner work, you've really won half the battle. And the other half is figuring out what. What is it, right? That's keeping you stuck. And why is it? And then really learning to reframe it, which I already shared. Last episode, go listen if you haven't. I actually walked you through these 3 steps. What, why, and reframe it. We were talking specifically about rejection, but you can really use this system for anything. Stop yourself in your tracks and check in. What is it that's bugging me right now? It's really a great way to troubleshoot and to problem solve, is stop what you're doing and ask yourself these questions and really reflect. But it really has to start with your willingness to understand that there is a problem and that the problem is not outside of you. It very well could be, it probably is as well, but there's not a whole lot that you can do about it, right? It really has to start from within. So let me know, had you thought of it this way? And I want to share more about troubleshooting and problem solving. I really want to be talking more about the feelings that you want to experience in your business and how to create those feelings yourself instead of waiting for something good to happen so that you feel those good feelings. Because we can't depend on that, right? I always talk so much about self-validation, and this goes for anything, not just for feeling recognized in your business when you make the next sale, but also for the feelings in general that you want to be feeling. And that's not to say you can't or you shouldn't feel the negative feelings, because negative feelings are an indication of more research, right? You need to look deeper into it to figure out what that is. But in being more intentional in creating the positive things that you want for your life, with the knowledge that there will be things that you can't control that will incite feelings that are not so positive, and that you can still know how to handle them and troubleshoot and problem solve. And everything ties really back to self-awareness. So let me know, have you thought of it this way? The two things that are keeping you stuck right now? Maybe you thought I needed to bring something more revolutionary, and it's actually so simple. Really, the key to success, the key to the best things in life are really so simple. It's just a matter of the compound effect, right? Is you doing it over and over and over again, even when you don't see the result, just like planting a seed, right? You plant it, you water it over and over again, and then something comes out of it. But you can't just water it one day and hope to see it the next day. And I've used this imagery here before. I remember one episode when I talked about how frustrating would it be for you to plant a seed and put like a camping chair right in front of it and just sitting there day in, day out, waiting for that little first bud sprout to come out. My goodness, you'd just be crying and tearing your hair out. It's going to take days, weeks, Lord only knows, depending on what you're planting. Instead, go live your life, right? Trusting that the things that you're doing daily are working, right? That if you are watering that daily, it is going to show. The fruits are going to show. But it really goes back to the attitude. What is your attitude while you're waiting for the fruits to show? Are you just sitting there in that camping chair, bummed out of your mind, super frustrated that it hasn't happened yet? Or are you enjoying life with your kids, with your family, going about your business, your daily personal business, while your business is growing in the back end? So just some thoughts here to get your wheels turning, and I would love to hear your feedback and to let me know if this was helpful, and also learn more about you and your business. How are you doing? How has it been going in the pandemic? And what are the feelings that you're looking to experience? What do you really, really want from your business? We'll hit that next, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and I haven't asked in a while, have you rated and reviewed the show yet? I would so appreciate it if you did. It so helps me with exposure and visibility to keep helping more and more women with this message of empowerment and self-love. So if you haven't, please go give me 5 stars over there on iTunes or any other platform that you use, and also write a quick note telling me why you enjoy the show. Thank you so much. Until next time. Bye.